Hi everyone, and welcome to the part 12 of this AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner series. So, without further ado, let's get started with the questions. The question number one is that which tool can be used to identify scheduled changes to the AWS infrastructure? And the options are option A, AWS Config, option B, Billing Dashboard, option C, AWS Trusted Advisor, and option D, AWS Personal Health Dashboard. And the correct option is AWS Config. So, what is AWS Config? It helps you record the configuration changes to the software within EC2 instances in your AWS account and also virtual machines or servers in your on-premises environment. The configuration information recorded by AWS Config includes the operating system updates, network configuration, and installed application. So basically, this service or tool, the AWS Config, it records any changes to your AWS infrastructure. These may include the operating system updates, network configuration, or newly installed application or the removal of applications as well. And this is the visual that how does this tool work. So this tool can be basically used for the operational troubleshooting, compliance and auditing. It also helps us in change management as well as security monitoring, and it does this through this management, evaluation, and simplification functions. Question number two is that a workload on AWS will run for foreseeable future by using a consistent number of Amazon EC2 instances. What pricing model will minimize the cost while ensuring that compute resources remain available? And the options are option A, spot instances, option B, reserved instances, option C, on-demand instances, and option D, dedicated host. So here the key takeaways from this question are that we see that we will use the workload for a foreseeable future. We know the duration for which it will be used, and the number of EC2 instances required are consistent. They will not decrease or increase, as well as they will remain available for the whole duration. So the most suitable option for this type of scenario or requirement is the reserved instances. So basically the reserved instances, it provides with significant cost savings on Amazon EC2 cost compared to on-demand instance pricing. And it gives discount of up to 70% as compared to the on-demand instances. So when you want a workload for let's suppose 2 year, 3 year, or 1 year, you know the duration. You also know that you will require this number of instances. Let's suppose 4, 5, 6. They will neither increase nor decrease. And you also know that they will be available. All the resources will require to be available. They will neither decrease or increase. Then the most suitable option is the reserved instances. Question number three is that what are the advantages of deploying an application with Amazon EC2 instance in multiple availability zones? And we have to choose two options. And the options are option A, increasing the load of the application, option B, preventing a single point of failure, option C, increasing the availability of the application, and option D, reducing the operational costs of the application. And the correct options are preventing a single point of failure, and second correct option is increasing the availability of the application. So the both are basically related to each other. And so this is the concept of the availability zone. So we have the at the bigger level, we have the regions. Let me get back. We have the regions, and then inside the regions we have multiple availability zone. Let's say this is availability zone 1, this is 2, and let's suppose this is 3. So when we deploy application in these all availability zone, when we deploy multiple instances of application in different availability zone, it gives us prevent us from a single point of failure. Let's suppose if this availability zone fails, our second instance in the next availability zone will still be available and we don't see any downtime or performance impact to the user. Similarly, if this also fails, then we have the third availability zone. And then inside each availability zone, we have multiple data center. So if one data center inside one availability zone fails, the application can be served from the second data center and so on and so forth. Question number 4 is, and the answer is already splashed. So let's read the question. A company is running a self-managed Oracle database directly on Amazon EC2 for its steady state database. The company wants to reduce compute cost. Which option should the company use to maximize savings over a 3-year term? And the options are again the on-demand instances, again on-demand and dedicated instances. So again, we know the duration, we know the workload. It is steady state database. The workload will neither increase nor decrease. So and we also want the cost saving. So again, when you know the workload, when you know the duration, and you also want the cost saving, then the most suitable option is the EC2 reserved instances. While on the other hand, let's suppose if your workload was not steady and you were expecting increase and decrease in the workload, and you also didn't know the exact duration of your workload, then the most suitable option would have been the on-demand instances, because when your traffic increases or workload increases, then you can increase the instance on the demand. It will automatically, the capacity of your instances will be increased, and when the workload decreases, the traffic decreases, so as the on-demand instances capacity will also decrease. So this is a dynamic variable instance, while this reserved means that it is a fixed workload. This is for fixed workload, while this is for variable workload. Question number 5 is that how should a web application be deployed to ensure high availability in the cloud? So the keyword is high availability, and the options are: option A, deploy multiple instances of application in a single availability zone. Option B, deploy multiple instances of application in multiple availability zone. Option C, deploy the application to a compute optimized Amazon EC2 instance in a single availability zone. And option D is deploy the application in one Amazon EC2 instance in an auto scaling group. And the correct option is, as we studied in the earliest question, that for high availability, to prevent a single point of failure, you should deploy your application in multiple availability zones. Let's get to the next question. So the question number 6 is that a company has an AWS hosted website located behind an application load balancer. The company wants to safeguard the website from the SQL injection or cross-site scripting. Which AWS service should the company use? And the options are: option A, AWS Trusted Advisor; option B, AWS WAF, Web Application Firewall; option C, Amazon Guard Duty; and option D, Amazon Inspector. And the correct option is AWS WAF or AWS Web Application Firewall. So remember that for protection against web exploits and web attacks such as SQL injections, cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery, the most suitable option is the Web Application Firewall, WAF. And this is how the WAF protects your AWS web application. So it basically protect your traffic from coming inside and outside to the cloud front. coming to the load balancer, to the API gateway, and to AppSync. And how does you do it? So basically, you create a security policy in your WAF, and through this security policy, you block and filter the traffic, and then you monitor the traffic that is being blocked or that is allowed through. So this is basically the working of AWS WAF. And this is basically deployed or configured to the AWS Firewall Manager. Question number 7 is that which AWS service or feature is used to send both text and email messages from distributed applications? And the options are option A, Amazon Simple Email Service or Amazon SES. Option B, Amazon Simple Notification Service or Amazon SNS. And option C, Amazon CloudWatch Alerts. Option D, Amazon Simple Queue Service or Amazon SQS. And the correct option is the Amazon Simple Notification Service or Amazon SNS. Question number 8 is the company wants to ensure its infrastructure is designed for fault tolerance. So again, the keyword is fault tolerance and business continuity in the event of an environmental disruption. Which AWS infrastructure component should the company replicate across? So the options are option A, availability zone, option B, regions, option C, education, and option D, Amazon Route 53. And the correct option is the region. So why is the region? It is because the environmental disruptions are basically, where is the keyword? We are talking about environmental disruption. So the availability zone are basically located inside, let's suppose in a same city. So the environmental disruptor will usually disrupt the whole city, such as the tornado. While the regions, they are located, let's suppose if we, across the multiple cities or even across multiple countries. So if one region is impacted by the environmental disruption, the services can be made available or can be used through the secondary region. So for environmental disruption, the most suitable option is the region because the impact of environmental disruption is huge and it basically impacts the availability zones as well. So you should replicate your application or your service through multiple regions. And here, this is the visual of the availability zone in the region. So the availability zone are basically inside the same region. And if the region is impacted by the environmental disruption, then maybe all the availability zones are impacted. While the region themselves, they are far away. So if one region as a whole is impacted, the services can be made available from the other region. Question number 9 is that which AWS service should a cloud practitioner use to identify security vulnerabilities of an AWS account? And the options are option A, Amazon Cognito, option B, Amazon Messe, option C, AWS Trusted Advisor, and option D, AWS Secrets Manager. And the correct option is the AWS Trusted Advisor. So what is AWS Trusted Advisor? It is an online resource to help you reduce cost, increase performance, and improve security by optimizing your AWS environment. And this is basically a dashboard of this AWS Trusted Advisor. Here we can see that it provides it helps in the cost optimization, performance, security, as well as fault tolerance. Question number 10 is that which AWS service can be used to privately store and manage versions of source code? And the options are option A, AWS Code Commit, option B, AWS Code Build, option C, AWS Code Star, and option D, AWS Code Pipeline. And the correct option is AWS code commit. So the AWS code commit can be used to privately store and manage versions of your code. And what is it? So the code commit is a version control service hosted by Amazon Web Services that you can use to privately store and manage assets such as documents, source codes, and binary files in the cloud. So that's all for today. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you and bye.